Great, we're on. So, welcome to the Sovereign Free Life podcast. I'm here with Ryan. Is it Roberts now? Not
It
Felix?
is, yeah.
Yeah, Roberts. A great friend and fellow companion in the journey of Enagic. And you have such an amazing story to tell, like from being in Asia and traveling around, being an English teacher, to actually meeting someone on a bus. And from that, like just building this amazing online business and team that is doing amazing and really, really well. And I really admire your way of leadership and doing it with such care for others to step into their own leadership. And
Hmm.
also, I know it's been a journey, like ups and downs, like it is for everyone, but you really stuck to it and also followed your path and your passions inside of it and challenging yourself and like being learning new all the
Hmm.
time. So just really happy to have you here and would love to hear about your story and your background for those that don't know you out there.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me on, Maneka. And yeah, it's been just over 8 years since I started Enagic, which is my first entrepreneurial venture. And the journey it's taken me on has been wild. And I never expected a lot of things to unfold as they have, but it's been everything I really needed to grow into who I am today. And it started off, yeah, 2016. I graduated from university. No, 2016. Yeah, it's not 15. I was graduated from university, and I was hitchhiking around Europe. Had an amazing time where I was connected to people. I'm on the side of the road hitchhiking. People would pick me up, take me in, and I spent a month living a very connected, magical life. I wasn't making any income, obviously, whilst I was traveling. And then I come back to the UK after that incredible month, and it was graduation day, like literally on the day. And I remember queuing up like a cattle going to slaughter to get my gown, to my pointy hat. And I remember just having this like, I was looking at everything differently, like an outsider's point of view or like an alien's point of view on what was going on. I was like, what's everyone celebrating? Why? Like, I've been here for 3 years. It wasn't rocket science. We had plenty of time to get a degree, and there's parents crying. And, you know, I just thought this isn't an achievement to me personally. It's just a stepping stone that's been designed. And now there's way more people than intended becoming scholars. I'm certainly not a scholar, but for some reason I was in university. So anyway, I refused to throw my pointy hat in the air um, and get that picture. And I decided that day, okay, I'm going to book a one-way flight to Bangkok and I'm going to become an English teacher because I heard on a table with some friends saying they wanted to do something similar. So I was in this like state from being incredibly connected to this fabricated university celebration. I was like, something's wrong here. I don't know if it's just me that feels off. I just felt like I'm in a different world to a lot of people now. And yeah, so I flew to Southeast Asia. I sold my car, sold all my belongings, went to Bangkok and trained to be a teacher. And I think that in itself, it's a great thing. It's a great method for people, especially if you can speak English. You can go to a place where English is developing in developing countries, and you can get jobs. So I was like, that's gonna be the answer to my problems of wanting to really connect with people and live this life of connection and magic and just freedom, like I felt when I was hitchhiking. So the friends who were going to come with me, there was four of us. Three of them didn't come, so it was just me that ended up going to Bangkok. And after I did the training course, I decided to travel Southeast Asia, and I bought a motorbike in Saigon, which is the south of Vietnam, to drive north, and it took me a month, and it was beautiful. I had to learn how to ride a bike, change gears over a couple of days, and I was like, okay, now I'm good enough to do a journey. And
Mhm.
I wasn't, but as you and I were talking earlier, Monica, it's about knowing the basics and just getting going anyway. You'll figure it out along the way. So that give me this taste again of this freedom, this magic, meeting, connecting with people, and seeing humanity for what it can be, which is like a beautiful thing when people are really connected. And then I ran out of money, come back to Saigon. And when I was in Saigon, huge city, 11 million people, I was teaching English. And after a couple of months, I realized I'm still stuck in the same cycle I was before I left. I'm just in the very hot country with a tie on teaching English, but I'm still being told what to do in this like fabricated environment. Um, so yeah, I also at that time got scouted to be a model for an agency in Europe that had um, they were also working in Southeast Asia. And then again, that was going well for a while, but then a bit fabricated. I had to go to events, parties, like to to show my worth, I guess,
Mm, mm,
and castings and all this stuff. And then after a while, I was like, right, I need to make some kind of change. The only
mm.
way I'm going to do that is by um, going away and reflecting and pausing on my life and like, thinking like, if I just keep doing stuff, I'm never going to have the opportunity to seize opportunity. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So I decided to go to this small Vietnamese island, and I was going to get a bus, and it was midnight, and the yeah, there was all these loads of Vietnamese people there. There was one guy from the UK with his daughter, and I asked him, "Hey, can you hold my bags whilst I go to 7-Eleven?" You know, I was 23, so I was like, "I'm gonna get some beers, I'm gonna get my sandwiches," and I come back, he was gone. Yeah,
Oh, no.
everyone else was gone. The bus is gone, and I'm just there midnight, just like, wow, done. And I was like, what can life throw my way now? And a couple of minutes later, I'm walking down the street and a minibus comes around the corner and the door opens and this guy's there. And he's like, jump in, jump in. So I jumped in. She's like, okay, is he going to kidnap? I've not don't know what's happening, but I'll jump in.
What to do? Like you don't
Yeah,
have
what?
a
I was like,
chance.
okay, I'm in.
What are
He's
the
like,
chances?
I've got your bags.
Mm,
And he's like, I had to make a decision whether I leave your bags because then you'll get them, but you'll miss the bus, or I try and convince the Vietnamese driver who didn't really like tourists to do a lap. But he spoke
wow.
Vietnamese, thank goodness.
Oh, wow.
So he could communicate with them.
Mm.
Anyway, I started chatting to this guy. We had a long bus journey together. And he had been an entrepreneur for 20 years. He had eBay businesses, international courier services, has 18 kebab shops in Vietnam,
Oh,
run
wow.
nightclubs, was a lorry driver, made millions, lost millions, but never had that true freedom.
Mm.
And I was like, so what are you doing now? And he was like, well, I think the future is going to be in promoting high ticket products using the internet. I was like, I don't understand what that means. It's 2016 before it was so normalized.
Mm.
And something in my gut resonated. Like I got that gut feeling. And he was like, yeah, I haven't got results yet, but I'm starting. I'm going to learn this process. And he's like, if you want, we can. I asked him, can we meet when you're back in Saigon? So I spent 2 weeks chilling out um, over this time, and I couldn't get this guy out of my mind. I was like, maybe that's the answer. Maybe he's got the key. And when I met him, he was so real and legitimate. And I was like, you can actually earn an income by learning different skill sets, not the ones I grew up with, not the ones that I learned in school, because I was never academic. But I was like, there's other skills I can learn here and apply them over time and see results. Because I could see some of the people in the States, Canada at the time, but it wasn't in the UK, Europe, and certainly not in Southeast Asia. So yeah, when I met him, I had this like gut feeling, like I've got to do this. Um, and it was a Japanese water ionizing company. It's now 50 years old. And yeah, I was like, how does this equal freedom? Right. So I was confused. And I was also like, why doesn't everyone have this product? Because it's groundbreaking. Like we're made of 80% water. Why aren't people putting good water in their bodies? I was like, it doesn't make sense. Eat all organic as you want, go to the gym as many times as you want, but you're literally an aquatic being. And I was starting to learn this over time. So yeah, me and this guy, his name's Nate, just got cracking. And we were like, okay, learning these skills, watching a lot of videos and putting together what we now call like a system, which is a sales process that we bring someone through and we can learn to automate a lot of it. So if you're watching this right now and you see an Instagram ad and you're going to go and buy some supplements or something that you see, a lot of that process or almost all of it is automated. So we're just creating those kind of systems. And it took me months to learn this stuff, but I was so driven because I could see the potential of what could happen. There was something else driving inside of me because I was failing a lot. I didn't know how to do it. I was just like learning, applying, doing, failing fast, failing forward, failing often. And then eventually people would start listening to what we were saying. I was doing like webinars, communicating with people, showing them this product, like really interested customers that were coming to us now that wanted this.
Mm.
So we were like, okay, let's double down. Let's double down on this. And for me, environment is incredibly important. I spoke about this at a talk this weekend. If I was in my home environment in the UK or like in uni and I came across this opportunity, I probably wouldn't have taken it because what I would have done, I would have seen something that I'm lit up by, which isn't a job, which isn't a mortgage, which isn't, all this stuff, something that I'm lit up by. And I would go to people who live quote unquote normal lives, excited about an opportunity. And what is someone who's never built a business before going to tell me about a business? They're going to say, it's bad, doesn't work. Are you sure you're not qualified? And if that's my environment, that's my that's my mirroring back to me. I wouldn't have done it. But because I was in Southeast Asia, because I was in an environment where, well, no one really spoke English, and it's like this new explorative phase of my life. I was like, you know what can go wrong? And there was no one there to really tell me otherwise. So I was my own consultant, I guess, in that. And I took advice from this inner knowing myself. So anyway, we got going and eventually we started like getting traction and we we're like, right, we need to build a community now of people that can support one another. And then over time that grew. So we're like, we need to have live events. So like motivational events and like business events, bridging these worlds together, where we'd start teaching people as well the skill sets, the mindset, and then giving them a business model that aligns with them, so they can create their version of freedom as well. And yeah, then we started growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and we had events like in LA, where else? Bangkok, London, Barcelona, San Diego, and yeah, that was up until about 4 years ago, or 3 years ago now. And then within my organization now in sales volume, last month we did 2.98 million euros,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
incredible in
It's
sales volume,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
And to think, I met a guy in the bus. I thought he stole stuff from me, to seeing what's happening now and the momentum. And to
Hmm.
bring it back to the initial point of why am I fired up by this? Well, it's because what it gives me is that feeling I got when I was hitchhiking, that feeling I got when I was biking through Vietnam. It gives me that real connection to people. It gives me drive and lust for life. And when I'm in that phase, I get to be around the people who are also growing, who also want to develop, who also want to grow businesses, who also want to make change in the world. And none of that's fabricated. That's rawness, that's realness. And that raw and realness I like to see in people. And that's what this Enagic business really gives me, and the freedom it makes for people now, because we're bridging this traditional, physical, patented technology, which is like, boom, 50 years old, not going anywhere. You leveraging the internet and the freedom that can come with using these modalities online and seeing what that freedom does for people so they can go and do their passions. I've
Mm.
got people in my team who run dog kennels in Cambodia. Sorry, not Vietnam. With the profit that they're making, and other people want to go out and get McLarens. Other people go and buy houses and then start getting the rental income from there. But it's a really great method for people who've never had a business before to learn the fundamental skills that can help them build whatever they want in this planet, and start connecting with people who have that drive and determination as well. That's what really
Mm.
fires me up. So that's my
Mm.
story in the
Amazing.
nuttiest of
Such an
shells.
amazing story, Ryan. Like so inspiring to hear. And I can really feel with you there. Also, the first time I actually just saw a post, by Chanel, who we both know, like, and
Yeah,
there was just this fire that lit up within me also, like I couldn't stop thinking about it either. It was the same
yeah,
thing, like this is it, like I felt so stuck in my like 9 to 5 life, and no time. I had all the toys, everything, like I did that should have journey.
yeah.
And then this was just like, this is it. Like, this is the journey out. And you're such an example of that, especially for, I think also for the younger generation, like that you didn't go through with that path. And then you
Mhm.
created a real success, because I see this as real success of
Yeah.
actually like helping people to live real lives and their passions, whatever it is. And it's just so beautiful to hear. And would you like to speak a bit on your, in the way you supported your team to
Mhm.
step into their own leadership? Because I think I've had that journey too. It's not that, oh, I'm the leader. I'm more like, but a lot of people project that onto you, like, oh, like you're a boss or you're a leader or you're like someone that's gonna tell them what to do. And I think this is like a real shift from going into freedom and sovereignty, meaning that I'm like driving myself in my own path. Is
Yeah.
it like that transition? Would you like to speak about that, of like really stepping into self-leadership?
Yeah. And I love that. And I think self-leadership and taking responsibility for yourself is, once you do that and you realize anything that's going on in my life, I actually have the power to change it. And it's a hard thing to face, because once you do face it, you realize, ah, now I have to. Once you know it, you have to do something about it.
And you
You know,
can't blame anyone else, right?
you can't blame. And everyone now like loves to point fingers. It's this person. It's this person. It's the left. It's the right. It's the up. It's the down. Like, whoa. But when you really boil it back, once you can take self ownership, sovereignty. I love that. I love that word as well. And responsibility. Things really start to shift. And my background before I was doing this, when I was 18 to like 23, I was a trainee and then a freelance in an outdoor center. So I was coaching canoeing, kayaking, some mountaineering, orienteering, these kind of things. So I never had like a corporate background, and I didn't have like standard operating procedures and all this stuff. I was qualified in the outdoors, I guess, in nature. And for example, and this will make sense in a moment, but when I would take a group out kayaking and I had them for 2 days, so let's say they were a group of um, naughty kids who got to go on some few day adventure. So I would meet them. I wouldn't know who the group was to begin with. Then I'd meet them. Then I didn't know what the weather would be. I didn't know how well they would be able to canoe, whether they'd be able to learn. I just had what was in front of me. and I had to make an experience from that place. Now, that experience went way better once I was connected to the people and the leaders within that, say, naughty group of kids. And they want to have a good time. They want to have a good life. I want to have a good time. I want to have a good life in work at the time. So once we got on that level, I would teach them how to canoe and I'd have to watch them learn. I wouldn't tell them how to do it. I would teach and coach them. So I'd watch them do something wrong, then help coach them, ask them questions to get it right. And over the course of a few days, they're then self-sufficient canoeing, being able to read the map, go to where they want on the lake. And I'm with them, but they can do it without me. And they're having a better time. They've learned a lot more and they've grown a lot more. And it's made my life a lot easier because of that. Whereas I could go out there and be like, no, this is how you do it. We can do it like this. And we're going to go out and we're going to go here, 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 and here. And I'm not getting the maximum potential out of those kids. And they're not growing as much as they can. So I learned that from like age 18. So now in the Enagic online business world, when I work with people who have a lot of potential, when when you meet someone, it's like this person's going to go far, or this person has got like some kind of special skill set. It's not telling them where they can use it. It's asking people where they think they can, who they can grow into, and how they fit into this next iteration of themselves. And I think when you start just telling people what to do, like, oh, you should go and do this, this, and this, then you become a manager. And I don't want to manage people. I like the term leading. So once you can lead yourself, then you can lead others, I believe. So once you can get over your own bullshit, pretty much, and I've still got a long way to go, but I'm working on it. You can help other people do the same thing. And once you help other people realize the benefit of taking responsibility, the benefit of what these actions can mean in the future for them, in their future organizations, for their future families, then they're not going to just come back and be like, oh, what do I do next? And being told what to do. People are going to be like self-led leaders who want to go out there and make real change in the world, because people really want that, but it's got to be unlocked in people. And I think asking quality questions of people and also allowing people to make mistakes or do things wrong, because that's how we learn. If everything's given to us on the plate, we don't learn that way. We're just continuously, I think it's in, I forgot what text, but it's like, you want to teach a man to fish, not give him a fish. Because when you teach someone how to fish, they can eat for the rest of their lives or make an income for the rest of their lives. And once you're around the energy and vibe of people who are taking ownership and responsibility and working together collectively as well, and they're on the drive and a mission, like, you don't want to leave that, because that's the vibe, that's the zest. So it's like showing up to work, but everyone's inspired and active and wanting to drive a mission forward.
Oh, that's beautiful. But what would you say would be one of those questions that you ask your leaders, like, or the people that?
Yeah. So one question I love to come back to is let's look at the direct sales world. And if someone's looking at an opportunity to promote a product, then in that world, a good question is, would I join my own team? Would I join my own team? If the answer is yes, great. If the answer is no, then the next question is, why wouldn't you join your own network marketing team? And that question, why wouldn't you, might bring 2 or 3 different answers. And what you've done there is, for yourself, you've exposed the areas that you get to work on, because what you do then is become more magnetic as a leader once you've worked on yourself. And it doesn't matter if you're selling spoons or lights that just went off at the start of this. The end product doesn't actually matter. It's the authenticity and the genuineness of the person who's promoting that product, who you feel, oh, I can be led by this person, and I can be led to become the best version of myself through this organization. And that's what people are drawn to. we think it's a product, it's a system, it's a market.
Mm, mm,
All those things are there, which is amazing. But when you really boil it down, it's the person. And
mm,
if you can be the person that you'd want to join that team, then you can say other people will do as well, and then you'll start doing very
mm.
well.
Well, that's an amazing thing because I feel also like we discussed before, I'm actually starting to I'm always expanding like what's possible for me. I'm starting to have like these big conversations with big organizations and stuff,
Yeah.
which I'm really excited about. But what I found, just like you say, sometimes when you go into when you pressure yourself, when you're out of your comfort zone, you think that you have to be someone else than who you are.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually the opposite. I feel that the more genuine I am and the more I'm being myself in those conversations, the more you connect with people, right?
Hmm.
And it's actually those connections of you being authentic and connecting to other people that then builds the relationship into that, wow, let's work together. Like this sounds amazing. You see what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And I see that, happening for a lot of people, this kind of, they go into this, oh, now I need to look corporate or I need to look like something.
Yeah.
Like, would you like to speak about that? Because it's easy to say, like, oh, it's so good to be authentic, but to actually dare to be that and not like go into these old patterns of who you think people want you to be, like,
Yeah.
it's really hard sometimes, for
It
people.
is, and I think it's an ongoing battle. But what's the reason you go to an event to see people on stage, or what's the reason you go to a gig to see your favorite artist play or DJ play? The real reason with there is we're seeing, in my opinion, we're seeing people be the most authentic versions of themselves, fully expressing themselves. And there's a piece of that that we see in ourselves that we haven't yet touched.
Mm, mm,
And when, for me, at events, for example, like before running them and speaking at them, I used to love going to them. And once I realized this person has amazing results in their life and they're actually authentic, they're saying what they want, they're not afraid of showing their beliefs or values, and they don't care what other people think. And look at their results. And then if you look at people who don't show any of that side of themselves, they kind of belittle themselves to fit in somewhere and don't have the results they want. And I think if everyone can have themselves brought out of their own shell and to be authentic and to really learn or understand if you are being authentically yourself, what the ramifications of those actions, like the good ramifications of those actions are.
mm.
So, for example, um, speaking out during a lot of people speaking out during, let's say, COVID or something like that, and being like, "Hey, um, these are my beliefs. I believe X, Y, Z, one, two, three," and some people are against that. Some people are for that. So you'd have people against things and for things. But if you are authentically sharing and expressing something that you are passionate about, and it's a genuine belief, that's authenticity. And authenticity attracts like-minded people to you
Mm.
because authenticity actually is the highest vibration. I saw it recently. It goes from like guilt, lust, fear, all the bad ones, happiness, love, gratitude, but authenticity is the top one.
Wow.
And I think a,
Mm,
a lot of us, I was like this, are afraid to be wrong. We think we need to be right about things, but actually, you can just say you don't know. Like
mm.
I'm good at certain things. Like I'm not a good marketer. Never really have been. So it's like that's not a strength of mine. And I'm not going to be inside the conversation. I'm going to either delegate it or bring someone in that's way more knowledgeable than me in that area. And yeah, it's coming to terms with what you're good at, what you're not good at, being honest about it. And when I think once you're honest and authentic, it just
Mm.
breeds and brings certain
Yeah,
people to
exactly.
you.
But there's
It's like a
freedom.
thanks. Yeah,
Yeah, there's
freedom.
a freedom in that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because I feel that too. If you're like, I'm nothing to hide, I'm just being myself, there is a freedom in that also. Like you have nothing to lose either.
yeah,
Like it's all in the open. Like I have these strengths and these weaknesses, and I'm going through bad times and good times. And when you start to share that, it's also I believe it's also this collective learning that kind of happens, and
Mm.
people want that. It's kind of this, actually, like Tariq talks about, our friend, but like that is my mentor as well, that, people used to gather around the fireplaces and tell stories and just share like what happened during the day or some kind of adventure they had, or like this is a learning that we've done like in humanity for ages. This is
It
like
is.
a baseline as being a human. It's like sharing our stories and learning from each other, like learning from others' mistakes. Also, like you said, it's okay to make mistakes. We can all learn from them. And then we grow and we expand. And it's not like, no, you're doing it wrong. No, you're doing it right, which is kind of the old mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very
Mm,
true. And also having intentional stops, like pauses as well,
mm, mm,
to reflect. We don't do that enough. Like, what have I done good? What have I
mm,
done bad? Where can I improve? And I think if we had some more intentional stops in this world that is always grasping at our attention and taking it external, we could just bring our attention internally and reflect on what we're actually doing here. Where are we spending our energy? What are we spending our time on? How is this project gone? How is that um, relationship going? And then we can make tweaks and adjustments. We can stay more true to our essence and ourselves and being authentic. But without that, the attention and who we are just gets washed away.
It's so easy then if you don't have that, like grounded, if you're not grounded in yourself, to just be washed away by what other people think and think you should do, and all of that. Like I just had a month's complete break, and that was one of the best things I've done. Like just
Hmm.
kind of regrouping, and like you say, like be clear about what is important for you. Like where do you want to spend your time and energy? What do you think is fun? Like
Yeah.
do you dare to have fun? Like life isn't always just about being serious. Like it's really about having living life, right?
Yeah, it is, and I did the same thing. I was off for a month in Mexico, and I just surfed the whole month and just had fun. I was like, This is what I wanted to be doing right now, just enjoying and reflecting." And then when I come back to, you know, some passions, I'm more passionate about them then, and I can see them
Exactly.
differently, and
Mm.
I'm a new person because I've reflected it and stopped. And these things are, I could imagine like maybe our ancestors who were around the fire say they used to practice all of this stuff before the technology, kind of like laughing at us, like, you guys are finally coming round to realizing how you grow. This is just how you grow, you know? So,
Yeah, amazing. It's like back to origin, right?
mhm.
Which is the
Back to origin,
like
exactly.
well, what our company that like Enagic is talking about, like coming back to yourself, coming back to reality in a way.
Yeah.
But just like about to come to the end of the conversation, but I really want to have some time on this last part because I think it's important. Because I would love to hear where you feel you're going right now. Like, what is the bigger vision, and where do you see, like, internationally also with Enagic and with everyone involved? Because it's like a family growing, right?
Hmm.
We're in complete different teams, but we're still like close friends and get to know each other, inspire each other. Where do you see it all going forward?
Yeah. So I believe that, similar to when TVs or microwaves became a thing, and they then were a item in some households, and then the importance of these items became more apparent in the collective, and then more microwaves were made to be put in the houses. By the way, look into your microwaves before you use them. But um, over time, you've seen how this is now a staple household item that most people around the world don't live without. So the product that we are working with, if you look at an Enagic Kangen machine, it's already in 1 in 100 homes in California. So it has 1% market penetration and still growing rapidly. And the rest of the world, it's way less. And I believe now people understand the crap and chemicals that are being pumped into water. You got fluoride, and a bunch of other different countries vary of what they actually put in, but even like a lot of human waste going back in some countries, it's truly awful. And if we are made of 80% water and we're consuming water that isn't legitimate, let's say, for whatever reason, what's that doing to us? It's disconnecting us from ourselves. But so by people understanding this, they're aware now of all the microplastics that are in bottled water. People are becoming more conscious and aware around the water that they're drinking, what they're consuming, and
Mm.
have lost faith in these governing bodies who are there to protect them as much. So people are looking for alternative measures to take care of their own health, become sovereign, and also potentially have an opportunity to make a commission for the rest of their life from sharing that opportunity as well, which is the blessing of the business model that we're in. And I can see this product being a flagship within so many countries around the world, and it's just going to become like a normal thing to have an incredible medical grade water ionizer that creates, hydrogen rich water all over the world. And maybe 10, 15 years, 20 years in the future, it's going to be like, why? It's going to be like the microwave. You'll show up to a house and there's going to be one, right? So, and what that does, I don't want to get too much into it, but what that does for us once we're consuming structured water over time, and who it can help us become, and the energy that's running through us, really, for me personally, it energizes me to be a better version of myself, to show up a lot differently. And if there's millions of people around the planet, then tens of millions, then potentially more, hundreds more, um, acting in a similar way and are energized in a similar way, imagine what the world could look like. And yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm fired up
Mm.
for that, what that can look like.
Mm, mm. And I think, like you say, people are waking up to it, but it's still so early. Like it's still, I see, like we discussed before, I see that, I mean, whole countries should have this, like every hospital, every care home, every like kindergarten all over should
Hmm.
have this water, because it's just these things circulating in our ecosystems, and it's almost everywhere. They found like PFAS on Mount Everest. Like it's unfortunate that's where we are at, but at the same time, like you say, that's for me as well, to take that self-responsibility in sovereignty of one of the most important like things that you're putting into your body, that's 80% of your body. I mean, that's one part of my huge passion for this. It's like
Mm.
we have to take that self-responsibility. If it's not taken, you can't blame someone. Oh, why do they put aluminium? Like in Sweden, they're putting aluminium into the water cleaning system, like process. Aluminium is known for all the different diseases it's causing. Like, and it's like, oh, the water becomes so clear. It looks so nice.
Yeah.
It's
Looks can be
okay.
deceiving, right?
Not very smart.
No.
But it's when you start to wake up to reality, like again, like go back to having a real look at, okay, what does it look like in the world? How can I be responsible, even though others might not be? You can still create your reality. You can still create your sovereignty with that, you know? So yeah, amazing, amazing to hear your story, Ryan. Any last words before we end? Anything you'd like to say to either like new people or people just looking into this opportunity?
Yeah, I would say tune in with your intuition. And even if you've never done some kind of venture before, think about the skill sets that we've usually been brought up with to learn, and the results that gets us, and what result will that get us in the future as things continue to adapt and change in the world. And compare that to the challenge and adventure of learning something new that can really help the world that we're going to be stepping into, and also help your bank account, help your family, help your future family. Um, yeah, that's what I would say. Tune in, and your body knows what the right what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, follow that hunch. I think we both did in the
Yeah,
beginning.
we did. Turned out pretty good. But
Oh,
thank you for having me out.
amazing, Ryan. Thank you so much for being on. And please share and like this. And if you want to know more, then follow the link below in the chat here. And happy to catch up with you. So thank you very much. Bye bye.
See you later.